You remind me of the Babe.
What babe?
Babe with the power.
What power?
Power of voodoo.
Who do?
You do.
Do what?
Remind me of the Babe.
Dance, magic, dance. Dance, magic. Dance, magic. Dance, magic.
What kind of magic spell to use? Slime snails or puppy dog?
Labyrinth was released in 1986 and was directed by Jim Henson and produced by his company in association with Lucasfilm. The film unfortunately failed at the US box office, and I think worldwide it didn't make much of a profit on what had been originally invested. It received mixed reviews, many praising the film's style and the effort put in by Jim Henson's company, but it failed as a story and lacked any real tension, and the plot being very thin, and with the idea of the baby in peril being used as a sleazy gimmick to gain the audience's attention. Jim Henson was very upset by the film's results at the box office and by the critics' often harsh feedback. This was the last movie he directed. Before his death, his son Brian Henson had mentioned to his father that the film was gaining more popularity due to VHS and broadcast on TV, and Jim Henson was very happy. Now the movie is highly looked upon by many who grew up on the film, and it has been re-released on DVD a number of times. Labyrinth was filmed in parts of New York, and many of its sets being constructed at Elstree Studios in the UK. It had a modest budget of around $25 million. After the success of Dark Crystal, Jim Henson wanted to lighten the tone of his next film. Many children were quite frightened by the skek scenes in Dark Crystal, and I think it received many complaints by concerned parents. Jim Henson and Brian Froud collaborated again after they worked together on Dark Crystal and got Terry Jones from the Monty Python team to write them a first draft based on Brian Froud's designs. While Terry Jones is credited with writing the screenplay, the shooting script was actually a collaborative effort that featured contributions from Henson, George Lucas, Laura Phillips and Elaine May. Jones himself has said that the finished film differs greatly from his original vision. According to Jones, it didn't feel like it was his story by the end. He always felt it fell between two stories. Jim wanted it to be one thing and Terry wanted it to be about something else. In Jones' original script, Jareth merely seems all-powerful to begin with and is actually using the labyrinth to keep people away from getting to his heart. Once David Bowie got involved, many changes had to be made due to some of David's requests and to adjust the script to include musical numbers. Terry Jones made the adjustments, but a lot of the time the script was changed on the day by Jim or George Lucas. So I think that really affected the film's real tension and drama. It does feel a bit rushed and flimsy in places, like it's too eager to jump to the next scene and tries to rely on humour to sort of fill in the gaps instead of actual solid story. The casting of the role of Sarah went to Jennifer Connelly, who had only done a few commercials. Supposedly many female actors had tried for the role, such as Helen Bonham Carter and Sarah Jessica Parker. Jennifer was 14 at the time. Jim Henson wanted Jennifer because she seemed like a girl growing out of her childhood to take on the responsibilities of being a grown-up, and you get that impression from the film. I always thought she was older in the movie, and she seemed to me a little too old for all those toys and teddy bears in her room, so it does work because she's kind of clinging to her childhood and not moving on. The film opens with a barn owl watching a teenager, Sarah, reciting lines from a play called Labyrinth. As Sarah struggles to remember the final lines of her monologue, the town clock chimes 7 o'clock, and Sarah remembers she has to babysit her brother Toby. She rushes home and has a confrontation with her impatient stepmother. Following her parents' departure, Sarah realises that her teddy bear, Lancelot, is missing from her room. She finds the toy in Toby's room and resentfully declares a wish that the goblins would take the baby away. Abruptly, Toby vanishes and a barn owl flies into the room, transforming into Jareth, king of the goblins. Jareth tells Sarah that he will return her brother if she can solve his labyrinth within 13 hours. He transports Sarah and himself to the labyrinth, then leaves Sarah to start her quest. Many of the effects were achieved in camera, so that's why the film still looks very good today. All the creatures are beautifully created, such as Hoggle and Ludo. The magic dance scene with David Bowie had over 50 puppets on screen, and all of them were puppeteered at the same time. The optical and visual effects are a little hit and miss. First off, the good stuff, the matte paintings by Industrial Light and Magic are fantastic and blend perfectly with the live action footage. The CGI owl at the beginning was very impressive for the time and still looks very nice today, but you can tell it's CGI because it lacks a lot of detail, but for 1986 it's a great achievement. The bad stuff unfortunately is the blue screen optical work. On the Blu-ray release it does look in bad shape, with big chunky black outlines and the music numbers seen with the fiery creatures in the forest. Even though it is very ambitious, the optical work is very weak. You can see a lot of flicker in the image and a lot of colour loss. If you look closely in the left hand corner, you can see the optical square around the head just standing out and looks a little incomplete. The film includes 4 songs performed by David Bowie: Underground, Magic Dance, As the World Falls Down, and Within You. Underground and As the World Falls Down received music videos which were both directed by Steve Barron, who went on to direct The Storyteller and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which both featured use of Jim Henson's Creature Shop. The music video for Underground features Bowie as a nightclub singer who stumbles upon the world of the Labyrinth, encountering many of the creatures seen in the film. The music video for As the World Falls Down integrates clips from the film, using them alongside black and white shots of Bowie performing the song in an elegant room.
I'll feed your mornings of gold. I'll spend your Valentine evenings the way strangers to love. We're choosing the path between the stars. I'll live my love between the stars. As the rain sweeps through, makes no sense for you. Every thrill is gone, wasn't too much fun at all. But I'll be there for you as the world falls down.
The remainder of the music was composed by South African artist Trevor, who had previously done the Dark Crystal and Excalibur scores. The style leans more towards the electronic side of composing instead of the straightforward classical score. With Terry Jones contributing his style of humour and of course Jim Henson adding some of his own, the film is generally very funny, and also comes across a bit childish in places, but you have to remember the film is aimed at a younger audience. Here is a selection of some classic funny scenes, and also my favourite character, the little worm with the scarf.
Hello.
Did you say hello?
No, I said hello, but that's close enough.
You're a worm, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
You don't by any chance know the way through this labyrinth, do you?
Oh, me? Nah, I'm just a worm.
Oh.
Come inside and meet the missus.
I have to get to the castle at the center of the labyrinth. Do you know the way?
Huh?
Well, yes. You want to get to the castle, huh?
How's that for brain power, huh?
Be quiet!
Ah, nuts.
So, young woman, the way forward is sometimes the way back.
Hey, will you listen to this crap?
Will you please be
All right.
quiet?
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
On.
Sorry.
Finished?
Yes.
I don't want that thing back in my mouth.
Come on, I want to knock.
Doesn't want his ring back in his mouth, eh? Can't say I blame him.
Hegel. Yes, if I thought for 1 second that you were betraying me, I'd be forced to suspend you headfirst in the bog of eternal stench.
No, Your Majesty.
Smell bad.
Forward. Steady, steady, boy. Come on, Ambrosius. Just close your eyes and go. Ambrosius, if you don't turn around this second, I will never feed you again. That's better.
The film excels on a number of levels, from production design to the beautiful photography by Alex Thomson, who was a fantastic DP from the UK. He photographed one of the best looking films I've ever seen, which was Legend by Ridley Scott, and also went on to photograph Alien 3 for David Fincher. Jennifer Connelly is very likeable in the role and does a very good job acting with the puppets and seems very natural, because the voice of the puppet wouldn't be coming from the character itself but off camera instead, so it can be tough to give a natural performance, and at a young age she does it very well. David Bowie is awesome as the Goblin King. He is pretty wooden in the film, to be honest, and you can see he's not the best of actors, but he can carry his performance very well, and provide some great music. It's a shame he hasn't performed any of the tracks to a live audience, and also his tights are a little too revealing, which can be a little off-putting. Maybe he should have worn a cup to hold his package in place. With the huge sales of Dark Crystal and Labyrinth on DVD, Sony Pictures wanted another film that was similar in style. There was talk of a Dark Crystal prequel for a long time and sequels to Labyrinth, but nothing has ever materialised. A film was made that was similar in style to Labyrinth called Mirror Mask, which was made straight for DVD. Made on a small budget, and I do personally own it. It's worth checking out. It's an interesting movie that has some nice ideas, but it's not perfect. It's mostly shot on blue screen, so it lacks the creature effects and concentrates mostly on CGI. With Labyrinth holding a huge cult status now, which is fantastic because it does deserve more respect and awareness for its technical achievements and the basis of its story. It's something the 1980s had, which was great fantasy films which kids today, as far as I'm aware, don't have. With so many movies at present incorporating CGI for everything, really the fine art of puppets and the huge elaborate fantasy sets are slowly dying out, and when people see a repeat of this film on TV or shown by a friend, it can be a pleasant and refreshing to see effects such as these, and encourages them to seek out similar films to Labyrinth. The film's story is by no means perfect and feels very hollow and empty in some places, and also the world of the Labyrinth is not explained very well. It just exists without a proper explanation. But if you put those issues aside, you'll find the movie to be very entertaining and very rewatchable.
You remind me of the Babe. Babe with the power.
What power?
Power of voodoo. You do. Remind me of the Babe.